Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all well, and I hope you're all very toasty out there in this beautiful cold weather. I think it's stunning, but I'm not very good in the cold, so lots of water bottles. I was going to do brief content on the void and what the void is, and I think it's something everybody experiences at some point, and if you haven't yet, you quite likely will, particularly if you're on your spiritual path. Although these types of awakening experiences can happen spontaneously, you don't actively have to be living a spiritual life to suddenly evolve in quite a powerful way. The void is what I call the sift. I don't know why I call it the sift. I always have, whether it's downloaded or I've heard it somewhere, I don't know. But the void is the space of unknown. It's really uncomfortable, and it's awesome because it's meant to be incredibly uncomfortable. And it usually typically comes after a dark night of the soul. I did do a video, maybe even two, I can't remember, on Dark Night of the Soul's back along, so you can look on my website www.holisticsue.com if you want to have a look at what the dark night of the soul is that happens prior to the void. So what happens is we go through this big dark night of the soul. It's earth-shattering, often on every level, and it can go on for years. So I've had a few that have gone on for years, and it's tested my patience no end because I just want to be there. And really every part of you gets reviewed on some level within yourself. Everything, who you are, how you got to where you are, what you're thinking. You know, it's usually through very painful experiences of the catalyst to the dark night. Then what happens when you start to finally shift out of this dark night of the soul, this awesome experience to really grow you into who you really are and to let go of illusion? We sit in this really uncomfortable space for an unknown period, and it's where can we really surrender to change? Where can we surrender to the unknown? Where can we start to really trust in divine timing, and that we really are being truly looked after and guided using our intuition, because our mind won't get us through the void. It will be our intuition. And the void is a space where, for me, it was always knowing something's going to happen, knowing something's coming, feeling it, maybe even seeing it, maybe even hearing it, maybe even beginning to manifest it, maybe even those doors are beginning to open, but yet you don't yet know what's going to come of it. So it's a really uncomfortable period, and it can often feel like nothing is happening at all. And that is part of the test of the void. Can you just be with nothing seemingly happening at all? For me, there's an awful lot going on spiritually when I'm in the void, and it's like my human self is actually having some time out, some recovery. I call it the recovery period of the dark night of the soul, where actually I then have to integrate the really harsh, really tough, really painful lessons I've been forced to face, which is always about the truth setting you free and releasing yourself from illusion, discovering the truth of yourself, discovering the real true colors of others. Maybe it's some trauma from childhood. It might even be past life. Whichever it is, it's there to be cleansed and healed, and there is no way out of it but through it. And humans often try to go around things. I've tried to escape things and cut corners many a time, then just to be thrown another situation, which really is a repeat of the last situation, and I've got to go through it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to keep finding new people to go through the same stuff again, which is tapping into karma. You know, if you don't complete a soul contract with one person, or you don't complete your lessons, you will be thrown another one that will, in the end, be exactly the same, until you learn the lesson and stop the pattern repeating with, you know, new people, but same stuff. So the void can be a massive time of internal reflection of all that stuff, and it can be very uncomfortable to sit with, and mark my words, I've been there. But you sit with it and just know that everything is exactly how it needs to be, and that's the true sense of surrender. Okay, I can trust that as alarming, uncomfortable and scary as this stuff is, I'm right where I need to be, feeling right what I need to feel. I'm not going to do anything to change that. I'm going to allow it. And that's in this sift, this void space between the ending of the previous chapter, the beginning of the new chapter. It doesn't just tend to overlap. That'd be awesome if it did, but where's the healing in between? Because what happens when we're starting a new beginning, which we ultimately all will, we cannot bring the stuff from the old chapter with us. So we get this awesome void space to sit in and look at what screwed us over and how we screwed ourselves over, and what healing had been done, and how do you now see things, and what would you do differently next time, so that it's the gift that when this door is ready to open, and it'll only be open when you've sat in that void long enough, and that will be divinely led, you know, we're ready it's not our new version of ourselves, it's our real version of ourselves, shedding all that stuff. So we often think that we're starting a new chapter as a new person. Yeah, you could say we are a new person, but in my heart, it's very much, no, I'm becoming more and more who I really am. Who I was before wasn't really me. Conditioning, you know, trying to get needs met through all kinds of behaviours and allowing all kinds of crazy characters that are no good for me into my life. All these things, you know, that wasn't really me, but it was a means to an end. And, you know, very much we can't know what we know until we know it. So we have to go through it. So if you're trying to avoid things, cut corners and avoid integrating learning from the tough experiences you've had, unfortunately, there's a chance it'll kind of come towards you again, because we will attract what we haven't healed. Even if it was back along, we'll attract characters that take us back to that wound again, so that we can on some level heal it. But the point is to heal it by not running away from it, avoiding it, so that we don't attract those experiences again. And we can truly heal from something. It doesn't mean we're okay with it. And I always say that, you know, if something's horrendous and there's no way of making it okay, it's horrendous. But what we do is we start to have less power of that over us, so that we can start to rebuild our lives again, you know, in our own energy, not tainted so much from the past. So happy voiding.